what's going on. And you told us, well, Mark, what can you tell us about your background in finance?
In finance. So I provide market information to financial institutions. I've been doing it for quite some time now. I won't go too deep into details right now, kind of open up to the floor so we can have some discussions. But yes, I am Mark and I'm here to enjoy some financial conversations, perhaps bring in the Lord from time to time.
Amen.
Sounds good. Well, we're glad to have you. Appreciate you
That's
coming.
right.
Absolutely.
Just from a starter question for me, we were kind of talking off camera about your interest in the market. What got you? And you, I think you mentioned even from an early age you were kind of interested. What got you interested in it?
So when I was 17, I had a coach and I noticed that he was always stacking at the end of class, um, coins on his desk. It was like a nervous habit. And I mean, he was a good guy. I enjoyed confiding in him. I mean, I've known him since my father passed. So I asked him about the coins and he told me that they were silver. And at the time, platinum as well. And this is back in 2006 or seven. Anyway, so I asked a few more questions about it, and I remembered a time when I was very young. My father got me looking at pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters. Now, my father was an alcoholic, a good dude, but he had his own problems. But he showed an interest in a short period of time about coin hunting and coin collecting with me. So many years later, this coach is explaining why he stacks precious metals and kind of got me into it. And I was in it for a few years. And then when I turned 19, um, I had a mind for numbers and pattern flow and anticipation and expecting trends. And I started working with my own personal brokerage. I busted a couple of brokerages trying to get the hang of things like all retail investors do. But then I gained a knack. I got a leg up. Introduced to a couple of contacts who really showed me what I should be looking for. And I doubt it was my personality that shined through, other perhaps more on their anticipation of what I could do, their perspective on who I could be. They just like me to be around them. So I've been doing it ever since.
So, like you were just saying about uh, busting, me and you, I believe, were talking the other day about, and I just wanted to let the audience know that if you're going to start single stock trading, you're at least going to burn yourself a little bit. Would that be, would you agree with that?
Single
Typically.
stock trading, you don't have to have a bajillion dollars in your brokerage. You don't have to have
Yeah.
millions. You don't have to have tens of thousands of dollars. You just have to understand that it's not a lottery. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to get rich quick. All this clickbait junk on social medias, especially these influencers on YouTube and TikTok, they will guarantee because they want to be sensational. And none of them are doing what it is they're saying they're doing. There's a small portion. There's a small group out there that gets so lucky that hits something really big on this
Mm-hmm.
crypto junk, this cryptocurrency, I'm sorry, and they want to broadcast because they're going on endorphins and they're just excited and they want to share what could possibly be. Well, you don't set yourself up for those. You set yourself up for scalping some gains. You don't set up a trade where you're going to put $100 in and make $10,000. That's not a setup. That's an accident. And it does happen. It happens, especially nowadays with everything moving the way it does. Those accidents do happen, but you're not setting yourself up for 1,000 times plus in a year, 2 years, or 3 years. So that's something to be careful about. You don't trade like it's a lottery ticket. As well as you have to understand that every day when you're getting ready to buy security, that what you are starting with is fresh. If you start with $10,000 today and you lost 2 grand and you wake up tomorrow morning, now you got 8 grand, you are not trading like you want your 10 grand. You're trading with 8 grand. You're going to make the smartest decision you can right now with all the tools at your disposal, all the information, all the studying you've been doing. You want to see what you can do with that 8 grand. And let's say you run 8 grand to 11.5. You are not thinking to yourself, all right, well, I had 10. I'm at 11.5 now. That means I have $15 that I can just, no, every day when pre-market's getting ready to start, I'll throw out some retail terms. Pre-market's getting ready to start. You got 30 minutes to the market opens. You look at your portfolio and you're going to manage it for what you're looking at, not where you want it to go, not what you need to get back to, not revenge trade. You really got to go into these situations knowing what you've got right now, because I need to manage my expectations and do my own due diligence to figure out where I can go. And then you got to cut your losers. Probably shouldn't say that on the podcast. It doesn't sound too great,
Nah,
but you've got to
it's fine.
manage your risk.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. I'm sorry. You were talking about single stock trading. The whole rant that I'm on, the whole soapbox is going back to, you got to understand what it is you want to do and not play it like it's a lottery ticket.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's funny you mentioned that too, because I've also heard people, typically people that aren't investors at all or have no experience, they'll say, "Oh, well, stock trading sounds just like gambling," and they'll equate it to, betting on a sports game or something, and I'm like, "No, it's a
Or
completely different thing."
going to the blackjack table.
Mhm.
Sure.
And I strongly disagree. And what I tell them is, when you're investing in the stock market, yeah, there is risk and there is a chance that you can lose, but ideally, you're doing a lot of research ahead to, now you can never say for certain that a company is going to do really well in the future, but you can make a very educated estimate, you know? So that's sort of how I try to explain that to people, but just
I'm
let
going to
me,
get you to explain that a little bit, because I trust me, I'm an average guy when it comes to money. What is the difference? I don't understand what you mean by a single trade or investment. I mean, how are they not the same? I don't understand that.
So I'll break it down in a simplistic form with giving you a little bit to think about. Costco's got a steady rate of growth. And during every earnings, you can pretty much understand what they're going to do and which direction a ticker name like Costco is going to go. So you have $100. This is not financial advice, by the way. I'm not your
Sure.
fiduciary.
Sure.
Seek guidance elsewhere, somebody's license that you're going to work with. But just in a scenario, you take $100 out of this week's paycheck and you put it in Costco in anticipation that in the past it's trended in one direction. So you can anticipate where it's going to be. And then the next paycheck, you do the same thing. And then the next paycheck, you do the same thing. And let's say 15 years from now, you check to see where it's at and it's done well, right? So that's investing for the future. That's conservative investing. Trading is you are buying something, anything, whether it's a stock, whether it's precious metals for short term. You want to buy it where it's at right now because you believe, or you've been led to believe, that it's going to go up, and you have every intentions on selling when there's a profit to be made. You're not a long-term holder. Yeah. But they like to call it weak hands.
day to day type of
Day to day,
stuff.
week to
Yeah.
swing trades, week to week. A few days, you buy something today, knowing that earnings is in 2 weeks, which earnings season is coming up in October. So there's a lot of that from retail investors. And the SEC is getting ready, or in talks to getting ready of the pattern day trade restrictions, which is a whole nother monster and beast. But yes, that's trading, is you're getting ready to sell it when there's a profit to be made, versus investing is you want that money there when it's time for you to spend that money. So you're going to put it here and you're going to wait it out.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep, that's a pretty good explanation. And another thing that I didn't realize too when I first started out, because when I first started, I was much more aggressive and I was doing some day-to-day trading, but initially I didn't realize that there's a difference between short-term capital gains and long-term capital gains.
Taxes?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
And it makes a big difference for sure.
Huge. I mean, you could pay 27, 36% short-term capital gains versus about 50% short-term capital gains in some cases, whereas long-term capital gains, you hold it for 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. You don't pay near as much in taxes.
Yeah. I want to say the highest long-term rate, I want to say is 20%, maybe
22%, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. So
okay, you're stepping out of the regular guy thing again. Explain why somebody would have to pay up to 50%
All right, so you bought something today
Okay.
for $50 and it runs to $100 tomorrow and you sell it. You've held it for less than a year. So you didn't invest in it, you bought it to trade. And the regulation and the restrictions are you owe more for short-term capital gains instead of holding it for the full physical year of 12 months. So 12 months and 1 day, you sell it long-term capital gains. So you buy something for 50, you sell it for 100, you now owe taxes on $50, your gains. So that's the difference between short-term and long-term. If you're
Wow.
asking
Yeah.
why, it's because Uncle Sam is going to get his cut. And if
Gotcha.
he can come up with a better reason to get more of a cut, he's going to every time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, something we've spoken about probably a couple of times now on other episodes is that I think it's crazy that we don't, and I understand why attorneys and accountants don't want this, but to me, it's crazy why we don't go to a simple flat tax that's the same for everybody. Because to me, as long as we're doing what we're doing right now, the government is going to tax you every opportunity that they have. They're going to tax you on food. They're going to tax you on any item that you buy. They're going to make you pay property taxes. And unless you force, well, let me be careful how I say this because I'm not inciting anything here, but unless you hold the government accountable, they're going to continue to prey on people, in my opinion. But
There's no question of that.
so I don't know. We need to get back to some level of accountability. Term limits would be a good start. I know all sorts of people are talking about that, but anyway, to get back to the topic at hand, yeah, taxes definitely make a very big difference. Otherwise, you wouldn't have multimillionaires and billionaires taking them so seriously, and you wouldn't have the EBITDA or EBITDA metric, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Well, then you had a recent conversation about non-realized gain taxes. And I'm not going to get on that soapbox. I just want to throw that out there. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But this is how functionally taxes in a society should work. And I'm just going to I don't think everybody's going to like the way I explain this, but it is security. You are paying your country to use its armed forces to make sure no other nation can come in your sovereign territory and take what is yours. As well, we can expound on the fact of security for the police. Bad, you got to back the blue, whether you like them or not. I mean, wholeheartedly, I support any veteran, anybody serving, any EMS, any cop, any firefighter. I support them all. Now, there might be individuals in the group I don't like, but just like any group of people, you'll always find personalities that you don't like, and some people overstep and do something they shouldn't do. But back to taxes, paying your taxes to protect what is yours, your pursuit of happiness should be expected, and you should be happy to do so. However, using that mindset after it's already cultivated in a population to now tax other things because you know you can, because it's going to be beneficial to you, because we're going to provide for you. Now you're definitely overstepping. So there should be a balance. We're doing it for the greater good of our sovereign nation versus we're doing it for the greater good of what we want to do. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've got to have defense, you've got to have infrastructure, but, to me, our government is, I think, much bigger right now than any of the forefathers would have wanted it to be.
I don't think it's near as big as they would hope for it to be. I think this nation still has plenty of room to grow and to develop. But we're an experience.
Well,
So we're an experiment right at this point.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the government. You don't,
How intrusive they are.
No, the size of the government.
the size of the government itself. Like, obviously, a nation being big and powerful and having a lot of businesses, that's a good thing. But, and this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, the larger the government itself gets, the more taxes tend to get out of hand. I just don't think at the founding of the nation that it was expected that citizens would be paying 35, 45, 50% taxes. And then on top of that, still being taxed on
what you
the purchase of daily goods.
I agree completely. By the end of the year, you spend 80% of your paycheck on just reforming taxes.
And we went to war with England on much less percentage than that.
Yeah. there's a fair way to do things, and it has become very unfair for a lot of people.
Do you happen to see any problem with come up with a percentage? It doesn't matter, whatever is fair. D I personally don't. I'm asking, do you have an opinion on, do you believe that a flat tax is not fair?
All right, before I answer that, I will say that I believe that a cap could be set for millionaires, multimillionaires, billionaires, that they should pay more tax. Billionaires absolutely should pay more taxes, but I'll also say this, that the amount of taxes that those corporations and those individuals do pay for more than people want to give them credit for. I mean, the billionaires and these companies who are paying salaries, who are paying taxes for their corporate taxes. I mean, they are footing the bill for a lot of these ventures. What I find interesting is the fact that the government can find even more devious ways to waste that money. If
That's
there wasn't
right.
so much governmental waste, the taxes that these billionaires and these multimillionaires were paying would be plenty. I mean, in my opinion, you'd
No,
be able to
I agree.
you'd be able to cut taxes from the impoverished. It wouldn't even be it wouldn't be a lower middle class wouldn't have to pay taxes if we didn't have so much government waste. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to pull the card where we should just fire all government officials and get on that soapbox, because there are plenty of office seats that are needed, that are overlooked, that are important, but there's a lot of ways that the government could cut waste. Spending on crap, government issued junk that they're overpaying for just to please a certain population. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, waste has always been another problem too. And as far as like, multimillionaires and billionaires paying more, I'm sure just about everybody agrees with that, but there's a problem with that I want people to understand, which is this. It's that because they are so wealthy and so powerful, anytime that you say we should tax the rich more, all they have to do is run to their attorneys and accountants, and they're going to turn it back around on you. So, like, this is just my theory, but part of the reason I feel like taxes have gotten so bad on the middle and lower class is because the wealthy, every time people say tax them more, they tax you more instead. They go to their attorneys and they go to their accountants and they put it back on everybody else.
So I will say, I'm not saying you're wrong. I believe that there's a lot of tinfoil hat involved with that thought, that as soon as they get ready to, let's just throw out a popular name. Let's say Zuckerberg. Mark's about to get hit with more taxes, and he could go to his attorney, and they could leverage their influence to make sure that that does not happen. Or the other side, Mark can go and mark up the goods or charge more for the
Yeah.
services. And of course, if you're not paying for a service, you are the product. Whether it's Instagram or Facebook, and they're harvesting your data. But he could go and mark it to make it so that he's not losing anything at the end of the day. And of course, that is happening. I just don't see that it's that cut and dry, because the government might be buddies with these billionaires because these billionaires are in our country. But when the doors are closed and they're getting ready to make a move, they're going to get those taxes. If they decide they're going to tax, they're going to tax.
Say what? Let me ask a question if you don't mind.
No,
This
go
this
ahead.
is off the subject of what we were talking about, but your opinion. Do we have any gold at Fort Knox or not?
Yes,
You think so?
absolutely.
Do we have as much as we're supposed to have there?
Probably more.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think here lately, from what I've heard, and I don't have a way to verify this, obviously, but I've heard and or read that the government's been buying a lot more gold, which is, I guess, a good thing to hear.
Y'all want to do a tinfoil hat theory real quick?
Yeah. Hey,
So China,
it-
India, and Russia over the last 4 years have been eating up silver. And apparently in our silver reserve, we have none. Now, since China, India, and Russia have been eating up silver reserves, platinum, palladium, as well as gold, you think we're going to sit idly by? There's no way. All right, that being said, how do you think the U.S. government would replenish if you are fearful that Fort Knox is run dry, or bring more of these precious metals into their coffers, you would allow the fact that your three competitors are growing so that you're overlooked. It's been clickbait and sensationalized for the last 3, 4, 5 years that going into this, what do they call it? The special operation, Russia's
Mhm.
Ukraine special operations. Going into it, of course, they were eating up some reserves. They were just getting all they could, and as well as China. And then this just in 4 months ago, China's found the largest gold reserve to expected to be on planet Earth. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna shift really quick. Let me let you know this. As far as people owning gold on paper, you've got a certificate saying you own gold. There are more people who own gold on paper than there is gold left in the world. So, if you want to know my opinion, yes, maybe not all at Fort Knox, but the U.S. government absolutely has more precious metals than they're going to lead you on to believe, or that on paper they're supposed to have. Because you know how this works when they get audited. The U.S. government's not going to be straight forthcoming with everything they had at any given time. I mean, tell me how in the world? Oh, I'm not going to do that. I apologize.
Well, see, the thing I'm talking about is there's politicians, like high-level politicians that can't even get into Fort Knox. What do you make of that?
Politicians are high level when it comes to public appearance. I mean, of course, you do get a group of them to vote and conversate and to dictate how our lives are going to be lived. But there's a certain level of accessibility and availability they have for anything. Well, there's information. One politician sitting at a desk is an irrelevant, unimportant individual unless he can make an impact on the masses. And there is just no unification in either side of the aisle right now with these politicians. Now, there are some that are preaching excellent messages, and I love the mess out of them, but their terms will come up. They will not be there forever. So, in the
Sure.
grand scheme of things, you want to point out a group of politicians who don't have access to go see the gold. So, who are they? I mean, who are they to decide they need to go see the goal? Like, it is so in my personal opinion, when it comes to something as core as real money, not fiat currency, is more important and less available than a politician.
Speaking of fiat money, how would you describe that to someone who doesn't know what fiat currency is?
How would I do it, or how would it be done simply?
Uh, explain it as if you were explaining it to somebody who knows nothing about it. Let me put it that way. And I'm not talking about me, but I'm saying like for the benefit of the for the audience.
All right, so the audience might not know how heavy 1 ounce is, but an ounce is weight. And if you want to carry $1,000 worth of gold around, you can do that in your front pocket, but it's like carrying around an extra phone. So back in the day, our money, our currency, the USD was backed by gold. So for every dollar you looked at, $5 you looked at, $10 bill you looked at, we had gold to support that it had value. Tinfoil hat theory and coming in place, and this is generally accepted, but we had a president who took us off the gold standard in order to print more cash to enter a war. Because everybody knows that a war, any war, is a money printing machine, except for the current administration. Kudos to them. I guess you know which way I lean. But so this president took us off the gold standard, which now means that there is nothing to back our $1 bill. If you go anywhere in this world with a $1 bill, it routinely up until today, now recently, the $1 bill was $1, and you can translate it into the shekel if you're in Israel, or the yen, or whatever the case may be. A $1 was $1. Difference is back in the day, back before 71, that $1 accounted for $1 worth of gold value. Now it just means that our military might says it's worth $1. You will accept it, and if you don't, I'll call Big Brother in here. So fiat currency means made up, means fake, means pretend. There's nothing to support it except for a promise of aggressive action. So therefore, you must accept what we say our money is made up of. So that is fiat currency.
Monopoly money.
Monopoly money. And it's crazy because, you know, the U.S. government does have a monopoly on this planet.
Yeah.
Does that mean, for the common person out there like me, does that mean that we financially these days have nothing to back our money? Does that mean that?
That's a complicated question.
If you are only holding U.S. dollar, and I don't, we definitely don't want to cause a panic. I'm not
No.
telling people to go get rid of your dollars, but
no.
It just means that it's backed by the, what is it they say, full faith and credit of the
Well,
United States.
my follow-up question to that was, if there is, what is to keep the government from keeping the printing presses going 24 hours a day just because they want to?
They do. I mean,
they
do
all
keep
the
them
printing
going, yeah.
all the printing
Yeah.
presses are not just solely in the United States. I mean, the widest printed U.S. currency is the $100 bill. It's not the one, it's not the five. $100 bills are being printed left and right, and we've gifted printed presses before, and I mean, they're still in operation. Well, we got one back. I'm not going to go on that high horse, but I'll tell you this: though, if you go anywhere with a dollar bill today, because of the threat of the United States government saying that it is so, because it is globally recognized as the global
Currency, yeah.
and the global currency, you can spend it as if it was a dollar.
Sure.
So there's no security in which way that direction might go later down the road, because you just have threat under pressure to back your currency. Myself, I like to diversify, so I personally own and hold several different vehicles. Precious metals is a great one. I'll give you a fun example. Let me get my mind back on track. Before 57, you could go to a gas station with a quarter and you could buy a gallon of gas with a quarter. Well, those coins had silver in them,
Yeah.
correct? Today, gas is around $3. Let's say $2.50, right? Right now, if you want to go buy gas, that same exact quarter had you stuck in your pocket and waited to 2025 and you want to go buy gas. Do you know how much gas you could have bought? You can buy today with that same quarter? About 2 gallons of gas.
1 ounce of silver now is like somewhere between $46 and $50 an ounce.
47.18 at spot.
Wow.
It's, and not just a year or two ago, it was like 20. I mean, it's climbed. Gold and silver have both climbed a lot in the past couple of years, for sure.
And it's crazy to say that because the gold to silver ratio has never been more spread. Right now, at 81.5 to 1 gold. And of course, silver is making a run. I'm not going to make any predictions for the audience today, but I will say you always have a rough top before breakout, and the 80s, and then again in 2011, you've hit top after top, and of course we're pressing that same top right now. But there's never been so much momentum, so much economic greed and desire for it. Like I said, the last 5 years, China, India, and Russia have been eating up the silver. Now you have Australia and you have England. You have all these news articles about these mines opening up, and in my opinion, these mines have been located for some time now, but now is a good time for them to dig their claws in to get as much precious metal into their inventory as they can. U.S. is no different. So yes, I enjoy precious metals, and the fact that the spread right now between value to value is just tremendous.
And I've talked to Kevin about this several times, and we like to ask our guests when we're talking about financial issues, well, there's a few questions. What is your opinion of the debt that we currently hold right now? And is there a point where we would collapse? And how would we know we had reached that point?
All right, so I'm going to start off by saying this. I have a solution to our debt. I know how tomorrow we could be debt-free as a country. You ready? We should sell the moon. We have a flag there. It's what we did when we showed up here. I don't know about we, but that's what they did when they showed up here. And they asked the Indians, do you have a flag? And they're like, no. Well, we stuck a flag. Well, it's ours now. Well, we have a flag on the moon. I think we should just sell the moon.
That's right. That's right.
How would we know? How would we know? We would be the last ones to know. We would hold out the fight, swearing that we haven't lost control, beyond the point of being recognized by the rest of the world that we've lost the fight. The yen's taken over. The shekel, I love the shekel. It's a very strong economy, regardless of what's going on with that region. But
what country is the shekel?
Israel.
Israel.
Yeah. So the global economic environment, and we would be fed the opinion of truth of this is what's going on globally. Now, of course, we saw this coming, and this is going on, and this is what it means, and you should understand this for this reason. And we would get up, go to work, go buy groceries, whereas last year it was $200 filled up your buggy. Now it's $40 fills up your buggy, and we just accept it because we have been taught, well, since 1901, the U.S. dollar has lost, 99.98% of its value. It's a fact of life, and I have to eat. What you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it is the victim before the incident. If you see it coming now, and you do not stop it now, whether you're at fault for the issue or not is irrelevant after the fact that you've fallen on hardship. So if you see it coming and you do nothing about it, and then the boogeyman jumps out at you, then you do have some responsibility in the fallout. So we see what's going on right now. The
Trajectory.
Yes. Where we're going, the path that we're on right now just makes absolutely no sense. And we can be fed the lines constantly. And I do believe that there are good people working to course correct for us. But even with good intentions and doing the best you can't panic the people you're trying to take care of. So you tell your children soft nothings and sweet little somethings to keep their morale up. And then when the house does catch on fire and dad's in there grabbing you out of bed and rushing you out the house, he's still going to be comforting you. It's not until you're on the street, you look back and the house is burnt down. You're like, holy crap, what happened?
Right.
And then he's like, well, the house burnt down, but don't worry, we're going to get another house. He's still comforting.
And here's the other thing that I think people don't realize too, and hopefully we never get to this point, but what I feel like people don't realize and what I try to tell people is if it ever got to that point to where the government collapsed, and that can happen despite what people think that can happen. Governments are not impenetrable. If we ever got to that point, I mean, it could potentially be bad enough to where now all of a sudden you have a society of, and this might sound like tinfoil hat stuff, but to me it's not. You could have another warlord, medieval type thing going on where, well, now you have different warlords trying to take over different territory. I mean, you see it in countries like, I want to say Somalia, we do not want to become a failed state. So I agree that something's got to change. I think our society has become too dependent on debt. And I'm not saying that all debt is bad, but we've taken it to the extreme, in my opinion. But
I will say that the Bible speaks to debt and not being in debt. I will say this. We'll bring up solar panels and windmills. The oil industry is 130 years in the workings. The infrastructure is there. And regardless of what you want to do to be more energy efficient, you rely on petroleum. So if tomorrow the tap turns off, we are not in a position to figure anything out. I mean, we're screwed. Now, you want to say the United States becoming a failed state. That would be bad for everyone. Nobody
really bad.
has the infrastructure to step up and be a glimmer of what the U.S. is right now. Everybody depends on it. These tariffs, all right, everybody wants to panic about these tariffs. So China fills up its ships and sends it around the world and makes stops and stops and stops. And people buy and people have orders and people anticipate what they're going to grab. Do you know which country those ships stop at and buys all the rest of it? We do. And it's not just China, it's everywhere. We're the last stop and the shining hope for everybody. I mean, the new visas, or the outstanding visas, but now have a new little hurdle about students moving here in order to get a better education and better business opportunity. Some of our NVIDIA, the CEO, Jensen, I mean, if he decided that he would rather be in China, China's regulations would restrain a lot of what he does, but we would be in a tough spot here in the U.S. now. Apple, let me ask you a question real quick. I'm sorry, I'm going to the left, but
go ahead.
running off directions, what I mean to say. But Apple, an iPhone let's just make some assumptions real quick. An iPhone is made, sourced, global resources, put together and boxed in China. Roughly, how much do you think that costs?
A whole lot less than we pay for it. I know that.
$20,
Jeez.
Wow.
$30. And then it's tariff. And then it hits our shelf for $1,800. We are a country of dependent consumers, but the rest of the world, as much of as a consumer as we are here, the rest of the world depends on us even more. So if we become a failed state, in
It
my
affects the
opinion,
global economy.
the entire world becomes a failed planet. In my opinion, now that is some outrageous claims, but
Yeah,
No,
I had my eyes opened, as I've stated before, I had my eyes open to that a lot during COVID. I didn't realize
how
how much
interconnected.
each industry was interdependent upon others and the domino effect it has. Let's take, for instance, just transportation. Uh, it doesn't matter what we have if we can't get it to the people, right? And you know, gas prices affect, and there's a domino effect through every. It's just crazy how interdependent everything is to me. I was unaware of that.
Yeah, COVID really showed a lot of holes that I think a lot of people hadn't seen prior to that. Uh, maybe even most of us alive haven't seen something like that. But
the dependence, and you want to talk about debt, let me make a personal opinion case. So you have a population of, let's say everybody's fully grown in the U.S., 350 million people, and you know that everybody's getting paid $100 a year. You know that everybody's going to pay $80 out of their paycheck that year on your your goods and services. All right, well, you've capped. You know exactly what to expect year over year. Now, how do you grow right now? Because, of course, business is about the growth. How do you grow right now? Well, you let them buy something before they've gotten paid. So now they're predicting that the next 6 months of pay, they're going to pay to you. So you've got a society of people who are trading their hours of life, their 80-year lifespan, for a currency in order to buy something right now. But now they're promising the next 6 months down of their life for what they're buying right now. And then cars can go, you can finance a car all the way up to 72 months. And then, well, 5 years is the expected life of a car. You haven't paid it off yet. Now you need to roll that bad debt. You're upside down into the next car. And now that car is already upside down from the get go. And in 5 years, you've got even more debt from this car. You need to roll into a new car because it's easier to roll in upside down negative capital into a new car. And you just keep doing that over and over again. I mean, you're right. When do you get to the point that you have spent more than your life's time into currency to purchase something that's not going to get paid off? And the people who are anticipating on getting paid off don't get paid off. And in a lot of cases nowadays, I mean, you can't roll it over to the kids. You can't. Where does that debt go? It just doesn't exist anymore. I'll tell you one thing: these institutions are not going to take a hit.
Well, isn't that somewhere where you can? I mean, isn't that where some of the tax money that they're supposed to be paying is going? Don't they get to use that as write offs?
some types of debt are a write off,
So let's say,
but not all.
yeah, you buy a car and you're 3 years into your car payment, and this happened a lot during COVID. You bought the car for 5 years out, you're 3 years in, you're still upside down from how much you owe to how much the car is valued, and you don't make 4 or 5 months payment, and they try to come after you, but they don't. They send you a charge off letter in the mail. We charged you off 5 grand. Well, you get a 1099 form. Now, guess who has to file taxes as if it's a gain for that 1099 form? That $5,000 that they charged off, you're going to pay taxes on. But it's capital gains, that extra money you didn't pay, and they charge your car off. And not just that, that's just an easy to digest scenario.
Sure.
To me, back on the topic of taxes and all that stuff again, what irritates me about the way that our society is now is why is it necessary to have so many different types of corporations and so many different, you know, different types of trusts and in my mind, all of these different entities and the complexities that come with them, they wouldn't need to exist if we just had some sort of fair system of taxation.
But what's fair?
Yeah. Well, 10% to me.
10%?
15%
10,
flat.
50, just flat, everybody 10%?
Hmm. I know
So
that sounds.
if I'm living on, let's say right now the average 36K a year, I got a wife
You
and
still
3
owe 10%.
girls, I owe 10%, right? But that 10% means more to me than that 10% to somebody who makes $1 million. Let's say they get big bonuses
I
on top
agree.
of their salary. So in my opinion, although our system right now needs to be corrected and there should be flat rates, not a flat rate. Because
You still think multiple different rates. I got you.
absolutely.
I'm sure plenty of people would agree with that. But my thing is, and I agree that, like, yeah, when you have a lesser net worth, it definitely makes a much bigger difference. But my thing is, no matter what level of net worth or wealth you are, and especially if it's a smaller amount, you're going to be more dependent on the government and its systems that are brought about by taxes. Um, but yeah, I mean, I mainly, it's definitely complicated. I mean, it's nice to be able to think about a fair flat rate, but yeah, I acknowledge that it's a very complicated system, but at the same time, I feel like we've made it much more complicated than it should be or has to be.
I got a question I want to get back to you. We were talking earlier before we were recording. I want to get back to that, a question about investing in market, that kind of thing. You mentioned 18 months, about how, I guess, projections are out that far, that kind of thing.
Well, typically the market anticipates the trend for 18
What
months
is the
out.
magic of that? Where does that come from? How is it 18 months? I mean, I'm just curious.
I'm trying to
No, you're good.
figure out a way I could word this. Going quarter over quarter, I mean, you got your quarterly earnings reports, correct?
Okay.
18 months out is a year and a half. They anticipate a full physical year and then round it for 2 quarters.
Okay. Okay.
That's the best way I can explain, unless you want me to get on a pedestal.
No,
and
no, no,
start
no. You're
preaching to the
good. You're
choir.
good. I mean, you are so far, I mean, Kevin too, so far advanced above me in this stuff that I'm just a little child in the money thing. Once you get past your average loans or managing a checkbook, that's pretty much out of my league.
No,
as far as money goes. I mean,
having a regular perspective and regular questions is actually a good thing because that accounts for most people on the planet.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we want to be talking about the regular questions and because people can't learn the more advanced stuff until they first learn the fundamentals and the basics.
Sure.
So.
And the best part is if you learn the fundamentals and you learn the basics and you learn how to manage yourself, that's really the key to managing your money and your investments, is to manage yourself and your
Yeah.
emotions. Nothing messes with your emotions like cash.
Yeah.
Not your old lady, not your kids, not your dog, not your parents. When you see your cash moving big, your world lifted. And if you see that you're losing money in a fast way, your world melts. Nothing messes with that. Serotonin, that dopamine, that oxytocin, nothing gets you. But once you learn the basics and what you need to at least know in order to perform some type of activity in the market, that's as far as you need to go. You start getting advanced, you start getting risky. That's like somebody just learning how to count cards and I'm going to go to Las Vegas. I'm taking my entire net worth and I'm going to see what I read a book about counting cards yesterday. Watch what I can do. Like, there's no need. Now you're just being really risky for no reason.
Right.
And then the more advanced knowledge a lot of the people that I know get, like the more they depend on the basics, like because they understand a risk much higher, a much greater risk.
Are you, as far as your ability goes with money, do you consider, are you still learning every day?
Absolutely.
Good.
Every day. I mean, there's stuff that I've ignored that I just can't stand. But now that I have more time on my hands, I've maybe felt like I've mastered a direction I was trying to go.
Sure.
So now I want to learn. I'm just rolling my eyes like that book that you started 2 pages on. You put back on the bookshelf. This crap's boring. But now all of a sudden you got 5 minutes. You're like, all right, well, you know what? I need to kill 10 minutes. I know I won't like that book. Let me pick it up because in 10 minutes I'll put it down because I don't like it. And then you get into it and you start learning more about it and you start learning more. And then there's more to know. The more you know, the more you know you don't know.
Is there a certain part of the market that or a certain part of your job, I guess I should say, that you enjoy more than others?
Yes, charts and trends.
Okay.
Charts and trends. I
So
love
you like
charts and
charts the
trends.
most?
I love
Okay.
charts.
Yeah,
love
I've
charts.
heard a lot of people swear by charts, but
There is a key to getting emotionally attached to what you think should and feel. If you're feeling something, if something should, then you're already doing it for the wrong reasons. They had they walked up and down the street, some broad what was it? It wasn't in New York. It was a key financial district. It might have been in Atlanta. I can't remember, but they walked up and down the street with charts and they would stop fiduciaries or they would say, what do you predict this chart's going to do next? And then they'd make their prediction and they would say, well, we made this chart up. Well, first off, anybody in this industry, anybody doing this for real is not just going to answer, well, looking at the way the lines are moving right now, they're going to ask questions. Well, what's the market cap? Well, what's the volume? Where's the volume risk profile? They're going to ask questions. And if they do give you an off the cuff answer, now you have clickbait that they were wrong. It's because that they were just humoring you for a second. Well, you know what? This is what I'm looking at. That's like being an Ole Miss fan right now. What do you predict is going to happen next week? You don't know, but in a humorous conversation, I think that they're going to lose. They'll hurt your feelings every time. It's not saying that I'm a dis Ole Miss. My point is that I like charts, and there are people who will swear by charts. There's some people who are really analytical with charts. Some quantified analytics out there that'll blow your mind. It'll wrap you up for time. It'll wrap you up all night just trying to ponder what point you're trying to get across when you're looking at a chart and trying to explain to somebody else. But yes, sorry, I got on my soapbox again.
If you don't mind, another
No, go
question. How often, let's say, well, how long have you been in this business?
In this business, like making money from the market,
Sure.
since I was 19.
All right. How often has something happened that truly surprised you?
Every week. Every week. And you start
Gotcha.
getting option expiration, whether you're trading options or not, it does dictate what certain trends are going to be. And then they're heavy market caps, and then they're going to dictate. You got sector leaders, and you got sell off. You got fluff news to anticipate. And they use news to drive their points at points sometimes. That's every week. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen week from week, earnings to earnings.
yeah, I'm glad you said that because what I was just about to say is I've spoken to both multimillionaires and billionaires, and they will, at least all the ones that I've met, will tell you that nobody knows for certain if the market's going to go up or down on any given day.
One thing's for certain, it's going to move from the left to the right.
Yeah. So, and that's also why I try to make it a point to, and I'm not, I think if you have a lot of technology, you can probably do really well with, and I'm sure you do with shorter term trades, but certainly for the average person that doesn't have advanced algorithms or whatever software would be helpful to do the level of analysis that you do, to me, a long-term perspective. And even with a long-term perspective, you can still fumble and fumble bad, but I think that the best thing that you can do if you want to do well investing in the long term is just make the best educated estimate that you can make or assumption, do your research, screen an investment hard, but you can still do all that, and 10 years down the road, that thing could flop. so,
Absolutely.
so, I mean, there's no.
We talked a little bit about AI earlier too. In your estimation, has AI reached a capability that they're able to, I guess, pick up on trends earlier than your average human being?
So this is all a matrix,
Sure.
and most of us are AI. Like me, I'm a robot, and I'm just kidding. So AI has to be programmed just like anything else, and it's getting more and more capable of doing some thought exercises. But an algorithm, I tell this algorithm, I program this algorithm, if this happens and this happens, then this is what the action I want you to take. And then a couple of years later, get a little bit more deep involved. These are the actions I need you to look for, and when these stars line up, then this is what I need you to do. Well, AI is able to take it to the next level.
Mhm.
AI is able to remember trends or store trends that have happened, and this has happened, and this is your preference, and this is what you're looking for, and these are the things you're looking for. So when all these things happen, far more monitors than I can stare at in a day, more charts. Oh my goodness. It could have all the options chains pulled up. It can have all the news feed. It can be highlighted for certain information that you're looking for, keywords. It can also look at the chart, the number, the volume risk profile, the direction, and what's the average on this day going back the last 10 years, and this and that and this. And then depends on all that stuff lining up, this could be actionable, and then you get to decide whether you want to execute or not. So AI is not a robot who can think for itself autonomously and do whatever in the world it wants to do. It still has to feed from the way you program it to behave. But yes, it is a heavy tool to use if you know how to use it, if you understand the foundation of the AI and you know how to execute. At the end of the day, still human behavior, human errors.
Yeah, that's the human element to me is what makes it so chaotic because like you were talking about earlier, money does something to people's emotions. At any given time, you might think and how whether they sell or buy is what moves the market in the direction or so we believe anyway. Um but so, somebody could just all of a sudden decide to share, not share, sell 100,000 shares, and next thing you know, there's a plummet in the stock, and nobody knows why.
That's a
Um,
good point. I mean, they had a dividend, all right? So they're price adjusted for that day. So and so ticker, so and so company had their dividend paid out. So of course there was a move because they came off some capital. Well, unless you had programmed the certain AI or the AI had experience understanding that this is what it's going to mean, all of a sudden there's a random dip that it was not anticipating what might AI do. There's there is a sense that AI can take in far more information than we can in a given moment, but there's also a sense that AI doesn't have the ability of discernment, the gift of discernment. That's something that was given from God. It's a gift from God, is the ability of discernment.
oh, hey, Jack, should we be stopping? Or yeah, okay.
Hey, Jack, I heard that you had connections to some upstart AI, correct?
Um, I don't. Wait, are we still rolling like normal? Okay. Um, I don't know why I lost my mindset there for a second. But what were you
he
what were you
he
saying?
he was asking, did you have some kind of connection to an upstart AI?
Maybe a smaller company. I could have sworn I heard from somebody that you had connections to somebody who just started an AI company.
You heard that about Jack?
No, about you.
Oh, about me. Somebody's starting up an AI company. I'm
Did I
trying to.
mishear?
Uh, ye maybe because I don't know. It might come to me later, but right now, yeah, I don't know anything about an upstart AI company. I mean, there's a lot of them for sure. Or at least I would assume that there are. I don't know though because AI is such a complicated thing that it seems like only already very large companies can handle anything to do with AI.
And on personal use, let's say you decide you want to design an AI, and you're using so much open source, open license. You're using what they've established and are
Yeah.
allowing you to use, and then you have to have some insane connections to some programmers
Hmm.
that help you finish a well-rounded project, and it is costly.
Yeah, you've got software engineers, software developers. There's so many different positions interconnected in there. And like you just said, if you do build some sort of artificial intelligence platform, you're going to be using at least some stuff that was created by other people. And how do you know what level of control they have over what they built? Can they, easily hack into your system? And
For any viewers listening, if you're going to create your own AI and you've got a license out, just create your AI for your purpose, for what you're goal oriented to, and just leave it at that. Because as soon as you try to get it bigger and bigger, like you said, you never know the back doors that they can
yeah,
come in and just steal your whole concept.
Uh, isn't there some because of the amount of money that's being put into these and being invested in AI? Uh, isn't it true? Wouldn't you figure that everybody's trying to go as fast as they can because they want to be the first person to reach this goal, the first AI to reach this goal? Because if you do that, you're going to be the big guy on the block that gets all the people to download your app. Wouldn't that be fair to say?
So you are either an idealist, you have a lot of faith in humanity, or you were born in 1980. You give too much credit for what typically happens nowadays. If I can let you do the heavy lifting, if I can let you do the legwork, if I can let you build the pond, then I can go outside and wait for rain. And then when it fills up, I can swim. So, yes, there are the hyper competitive that are on track to try to outdo each other. So, yeah, but typically you said in most cases, or everyone, no, but most cases, you're waiting for somebody else. Take a certain cell phone builder right now. I don't want to get in trouble about throwing Apple under the bus. I'm just going to say Apple. Um, they wait until something really good is designed and then you piggyback. Or China. Lord have mercy. Look at China's entire defense structure. And you wait till somebody develops something awesome and then you take that concept. So I think that's what's who can steal it better and improve it and then have it stolen from them. I
I
think
got you.
that's where we're at right now.
I got you.
I'll tell you what, too, another really important part of making sure that your systems are working correctly is for you to like, follow, and subscribe to the channel on YouTube, Spotify, and whatnot. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there. Please do that if you enjoy the content. Doesn't take you very long. Helps us out a lot. But anyway,
Well,
back to the
tell them what
conversation.
we're using for our recording.
Yeah, and we also use Riverside, which is an AI producer software platform. Very useful. If you're a content creator, I'll post a link in the comments or you'll see it in one of our clips. All you got to do if you're interested is click on that link and follow the prompts. It'll take you to Riverside's website. But we use it for our podcast. I highly recommend it. Um, but yeah, uh, back to the conversation.
That's who I was referring to, Riverside.
Oh,
I knew
that's
you
what
knew
you were
something.
talking about. I got you. Yeah, yeah. Riverside is what we use, and it's very handy for editing, noise editing, and cleaning things up on the back end.
I
Um,
think that a lot of companies are incorporating AI into their ordering system. Uh, a lot of different uses for AI being incorporated into retail stores, apps, and these kind of things.
So I agree. And in the early stages, I will say that the call center. I mean, we've all experienced it in the last 10 years. You call, press one to connect, press two to connect. You press two, enter the whatever, enter this, enter that. Then at the very end, enter your. It's just an upgraded version of that the automated system. Now AI has more capabilities. Now everyone is fearful of AI affecting jobs. Now, AI will make a lot of positions more efficient, so these companies will be able to grow faster. I do not see AI taking over positions in general. That is definitely a fear that any any population has when experience another industry sweeping in and becoming the big guy on the block. I feel that the human element will pivot to places the human element excels at. But a call center is definitely geared for AI. Why would you not?
Sure.
Um, the individuals who may lose their jobs in those positions, I would see now this is down the aisle. This is neither left leaning or right leaning. The government is going to want to prove it'll take care of its people. And that'll just be another excuse, another example for the government to prove it's going to take care of its people. So regulations will be put in place, and the department of whatever in the world will be implemented to help these people find this way and that way. And when I say these people, it takes the humanity out of individuals who might suffer. And I apologize. We all suffer losses. And if this does happen to you, it truly does suck. Imagine waking up in the morning, getting a phone call. You're already slightly behind on bills. You haven't figured out dinner for tonight, so you surely haven't figured out what's going on in the refrigerator this weekend. You get a call from your boss since you've been replaced by AI. That is heart-wrenching, but it's not going to be so mass spread as everybody is so worried about. The human element is what has made life on this planet amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
If all it was crickets bouncing around, if God hadn't put us here, it'd be aimless.
Yeah, I definitely don't want us to, you know, nobody wants that dystopian future where AI just takes control of everything. I hope we never get to that point.
Overall, you bullish or bearish on AI?
Bullish. Absolutely.
Sure.
It's hard not to be.
Sure.
There's definitely a lot of good use cases for it. But with that being said, hey Jack, real quick, what time are we at now?
We're at 102.
102. Okay. Well, I guess we probably better wrap up. But yeah, Mark, thanks
Love to
for
have you back
coming and
again
talking to
sometime.
us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to come back on anytime.
And I enjoyed the mess out of this. And thank goodness we had Riverside.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely very helpful. But yeah, I guess that'll do us.
Oh, one thing on YouTube now, whenever they just smash the mess out of the button, the thumbs up button, does it turn like rainbow or something? Should they try?
Yeah, no, it I don't know. I guess when you hit it, I can't even think of how to describe the effect.
I think
there's
it
some
mainly
sort of-
just gives you good vibes, you know.
And good luck.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Nah, I was gonna say bring some good karma your way, but then that would almost be blasphemous. That's for a Christian podcast.
Do not believe in karma.
Yeah,
That's right.
Absolutely believe in
nah.
consequences, though.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
me too. I don't believe in karma either. I was just making a joke, but no, in all seriousness, we appreciate if you like the content, likes and subscribes. But anyway, I won't beat that dead horse.
And Mark, it was
Too
good to
much.
have you.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. It was awesome being here.